Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday morning. It is a real happy Saturday morning because we're talking baseball. No, you don't hear it saying because I don't want to blow out any eardrums. My name is Scott Morgan, Motor City Man Mouth. Pleased to be joined by my co-host, Mickey Calloway. Mickey, glad to have you on.
Hello, everyone.
All right, we're going to introduce the rest of the crew. I'm going to give you some Major League Baseball updates. Katie, what I'd like you to do, she's my producer behind the scenes, and she'll promote it on her timeline and tag us on Facebook and let everybody know that we're talking baseball. All right, Candace? I know she is our producer behind the scenes. With that said, we are talking baseball. We're glad to have Eric Katz back on.
Yeah, good to be back, Scott.
And Trent Clark returns to the big show, but instead of Monday night, his due day is actually on Saturday. So bright and early for Mr. Clark. All right. That's where you'll see Trent going forward. And today our special guest is Jose Melendez. Jose, please give everybody a little bit of an introduction about you and let everybody know what you've done. I know you've been big in the Mexican League, so please go into more details so our viewers can go out there and get an idea who you are and what you do.
Well, guys, thank you for the invite. I am the president of baseball operations for a team in Mexican League Baseball, Summer League, not the Winter League, the Summer League, Pirata de Campeche. I've been in the Mexican League since 2014 and had, some good success, some good up and downs, and had some very interesting players in our years here. And it's been a good league that's been evolving into a very, 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 tough league to play in terms of the competition. So, I'm really excited to talk about the progression or the Mexican League in the last 10 years I've been in this league. So there should be an interesting conversation for people that are unaware or would like to know more about the Mexican Summer League, which is the Major Leagues of Mexico that's been around for 100 years.
Yeah, Jose's being very humble, Scott. He is one of the best by far in the Mexican Baseball League. One of the best executives, has had ultra success there, is renowned for signing some of the best players, like tough signings like Pablo Sandoval, Chris Carter, to big contracts over there. And just an amazing wealth of knowledge. I've known Jose for 20 something years now, Jose, 2008, I think. Yeah. So, just an unbelievable baseball guy, unbelievable friend, and has had, just ultra success over there in the Mexican Baseball League. So it'll be really awesome to hear some of the ins and outs and some of the stuff that you just don't hear about as far as the Mexican Baseball League goes. It's a great league. In the competition, I mean, the hitters there, it's such a hitters league. It's like, wow, I couldn't believe it when I got to manage over there. It's pretty impressive.
Well, Mickey, the amazing part about it is good. Morning, New York MLB talk. We appreciate you doing it. Is you've had a lot of opportunities to manage different places, anyways. And you and I have talked about this, Nick, time in and time out. Baseball is about relationships. Let's not kid ourselves. And I've been at this a long time, dating back to the 1981, baseball winter meetings, and it's built a lot more since then. So, I think Jose and Trent both know that relationships in baseball, you may not see anybody, for example, for like 5 years or 10 years, 15 years, and all of a sudden, for example, it's like, hey, good to see you again. Nobody ever forgets you. Cases in point, okay? Kevin Rand, to me, is a guy that I've known for years. And, of course, Brian Butterfield are guys that, to me, or you could say, or Rex Hudler, are examples of those individuals that I've worked with back in my days before Fort Lauderdale. You can see them, it's like they piss on each other tomorrow. So it's really good that you're able to talk about relationships, because baseball, I think, compared to a lot of other sports, has a lot more than others. I could be subjected to that, but so be it, because that's the area and sport that I've probably spent more time with. Baseball and football are the two biggest ones. Basketball and hockey have leveled off over the last so many years as well. So we have a lot to get to the show as well, and we'll tackle more topics later. But right now, in the meantime, we're going to incorporate a new segment on the Saturday show called MLB Updates. It's a segment where I'm going to mention certain things here that nobody necessarily has to comment on these. These are just simple updates that you should be aware of that you'll get today that would occur on Saturday before they become too old on Monday night. And that's why I'm incorporating these things now. So, for example, this is what it is. excuse me, Charlie Morton will start the final game of the year for the Atlanta Braves. He was actually designated for assignment by the Tigers last weekend and is rejoining the Braves. The 41-year-old Morton had a 7.09 earned run average for 9 starts with the Tigers. And he's obviously being reunited with the Braves because he played a bulk of his career, though. So I wish Charlie well in his final start, and he'll be facing the Pittsburgh Pirates also this week. Mike Trout hit his 401st round tripper of the year for the Angels. Great for Mike Trout. Here's a guy who's been you build a game around baseball, and it's too bad his injury issues have unfortunately plagued him throughout his career. But glad that he's in the 400 club before the end of this season. So Mike Trout, home run number 401. And who knows, he might add another one or two by the end of the weekend. Also, a guy by the name of Christian, who I saw on Twitter, makes a very interesting comment that I want everybody to take note of. This is really neat. He goes by Christian _ NYYST on that's his Twitter account. He says this: if the Rays really want to repay the Yankees for letting them use Steinbrenner Field, I get this, okay? They'll sweep Toronto this weekend. Well, nice idea, but the Jays won last night 4-2. But let's not forget that the Rays were displaced and needed Steinbrenner Field. Anybody have any thoughts about those? That's pretty interesting stuff if we can come up with off-the-wall stuff. I'm glad that Charlie Morton's going to get an opportunity to pitch for the Braves at least one more time. It's a shame it didn't work out in Detroit for him because I thought the Tigers had big hopes and they wouldn't be hanging by threads here trying to even get into the postseason, let alone the fact that they squandered a 15-point lead and arguably one of the biggest collapses that I've seen in recent years in baseball. Mickey, any thoughts on any of these comments?
Yeah, no, I'm. That's great for Charlie. Obviously, he's had great success in the major leagues, and to get to go back to Atlanta, that's pretty cool. You get that guy. He's done such great work in the postseason. He's kind of been like a pitcher for hire, kind of a gun for hire during the postseasons throughout his career, and it's just good to see him get to go back there and pitch for Atlanta.
Yeah, it really is. And what about you, Eric?
I mean, it's good for Charlie too. I mean, I think it's nice for him to go back to a place where he's had success too, because it didn't work out for him in Baltimore, and it didn't work out for him in Detroit. So it'll be good for him to go back to a place he's familiar with, where maybe he can close out the season on a high note. And who knows, maybe it could be the last time we see him, given how this year kind of went for him. So it'd be nice for him to go to a place where he's had success. And as far as Detroit goes, wow, that's probably worse of a collapse than even the Boston Red Sox could muster.
Yeah, it's just painful in Detroit. The Tigers are barely hanging on to the seat of their pants. They lost to Boston last night 4-3. The bullpen let that one get away. Their trade deadline moves have not worked out. They had a lot of pitchers, but they haven't really produced a whole lot. Jose, what's your take on a lot of this?
Well, I mean, I think it's a very nice element that the Braves did. Usually they invite players like that for a farewell ceremony. After they come back after a long period of time and come back to pitch. Well, not pitch. They just do a farewell ceremony and retire them. But it's nice that he'll be able to pitch again for the Braves. And like I said, I mean, maybe he could parlay to something else down the line. But it's just nice to see that he goes back to a team that knows him. And the Tigers have been interesting. I mean, I've been real busy the last 2 months with our playoff run there in Piratas, and we just finished about a couple of weeks ago. But I was reading about 2 months ago how the Tigers were the darlings of the major leagues, and then I was reading a couple of days ago how they're in a big tailspin. But then again, I mean, it's baseball, man. You never know. One day you could be on top, the next day you could be on the bottom. 1 year you're king, and the next year you're fired. So it's just kind of the way it is, the baseball is. But nothing surprises me anymore because, like I said, I deal with it every day, every year, and I see a lot of weird things, especially here in the Mexican League, where I don't get surprised anymore what happens in the major leagues.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. I mean, that's the way it goes. I mean, as a general manager, you have to make certain decisions. I personally thought the Tigers should have added Justin Verlander over Johnny Morton all day long. I'll segue that over to Trent Clark.
Well, there's a lot going on there with what you just said. A lot of different things. The Braves, a very unsuspecting season, pretty low. Great tribute to end the season. I think that's pretty awesome. Obviously, with Trout, one of the best players. It's funny because he's one of the best players you just don't hear about. Part of it's that West Coast time zone. Part of it's the challenge of TV with that guy because he's worth the price of admission when he's healthy, right? But 401 home runs is amazing. No one ever doubts the guy's talent, and so I think the tragedy of Trout is that the Angels are not a playoff contender, so the national scene doesn't see this guy like in that playoff structure a lot, and he's amazing. So it's too bad. Couple just really nice, interesting things. And I think to back up Jose, man, welcome to baseball. Like, if you don't like any of it, it'll change in 2 seconds. One day you're a hero, the next day you're a GOAT. And the Tigers, I mean, I'm a Michigan kid, right? I started in Detroit my first year in 2003. So, or I'm sorry, 1993. Geez, I'm dating myself on that. 1993. So, we've had such a crazy run between, obviously the 68 Tigers and then the Bless You Boys of 84 and then through the mid 90s and the mid 2000s where we had a couple of really good teams. The Verlander came on the scene. I mean, it's been a heart-wrenching deal. Like to follow all Detroit teams. It's heart-wrenching. Right? So they don't disappoint, as usual. They're going to leave you on the edge of the seat. And if they don't get in, it'll be tragic.
Yeah, they really will. All the baseball topics I want to get to. Those are some of our MLB updates presented by the South Florida Tribune. I know we have a lot of viewers on YouTube. The one thing about the show is early on Saturday morning. It's okay. If you don't see us initially, whether you comment in the chat room or not, that's okay. We'll respond to as many of your comments, if not all of them, when you watch it on YouTube later. I always like to get to the YouTube channel several times a day to respond to everybody else as well. I know Saturday's a big college football day for us, Candy and I actually. We've been covering the Miami Hurricanes the last 4 weeks in a row. The Canes have a bye week, so we get Florida Atlantic against Memphis tonight over right down the road there in Boca Raton. It'll be a little bit shorter drive. It'll be a little bit easier. I love covering the Miami Hurricanes, but they're off this week. So what are we going to do? Take a 15-minute ride up to Boca. No big deal, and that'll be that. And we'll be able to do stuff. We're starting baseball. We're getting into the heat of the pennant races. We had Trent Clark's able to get back on for the home stretch. And, of course, we had Jose Melendez. And watch this show with Mickey and I and Eric. It's growing. It is a lot more to get to. All right, with that said, we'll start it off with Paul Stewart. The trade to Detroit from Cleveland. He came there damaged goods. It was a gamble. But here's the thing that you have to understand. This is a deal that was made in exchange for a player to be named later in cash consideration, Skip. I don't know. Tigers ought to give him the cash because they don't need to give up any more players for a guy that hasn't gotten it done yet. Some thoughts about Paul Stewart.
Yeah, I think that when you're making deals like this, it's just a guy that just doesn't really fit on your roster anymore, and you're just trying to kind of unload him and then hopefully get a prospect back later or some money and just to improve your organization. A lot of these things are just paper transactions to try and give you some roster flexibility so you can make another move or call somebody up or whatever, or give somebody else a look and see, exactly what you got in this guy towards the end of the year to see if he's going to be able to contribute next year. And that's what this move was.
Yeah, well, I love the analogy, Mickey, paper transactions, because that's really what it is. Because right now the Tigers knew they were getting damaged goods to begin with. They were hoping to get any kind of productivity, let alone against a team that they're actually tied in the division for. Cleveland, and all of a sudden this becomes more magnified. With that said, I'm going to turn over to Trent. Go ahead, continue where I'm going with this.
Well, I mean, I think about Paul Sewald. We're talking Paul Sewald, right? And so, right. I think that, Paul's had these. It's a standard that you always see in baseball. Like it's everyone else. I feel like is what have you done for me lately? And Mickey's gonna hate this, man. Like in pitching, it's different. Like everyone else, it's like you can't go 0 for 12 and then like get a starting job. In pitching, man, like, oh man, he was incredible in 2021, and you're like, man, it's 2025. Like, and when you see guys like Paul Sewald with lightning stuff and the closing position that he kind of had a few years ago, he was lights out with the Diamondbacks for a season, and you see these glimpses. People are trying to recreate the magic, right? And I really appreciate that. I was surprised to see this activation on him with 8 days. Like it's pretty late in the season. It's a shake up to your roster, and you're right in the middle of a division chase here. It was shocking to me. So, I do understand the paper transaction, and I agree with it. I do wonder what the Tigers are doing with this move, and it's going to be under fire if it doesn't work out at the end of the year, I think. But AJ may have a history with this guy, so maybe that's the deal.
Yeah, that's true. AJ Hinch has had. If you look at some of the deals that they've made, AJ Hinch had a history with Morton. It didn't work out, but he also had one with Justin Verlander, which was a head scratcher. He had a history with both these two players. Charlie obviously struggled with the Orioles, and Verlander, you could have gotten it for pennies on the dollar, and it would have been a great reunion in Detroit. I'm going to be outspoken on this. The Tigers really laid an egg on that one. They really did. They should have brought Verlander over Morton all day long. And my mind, yeah, of course, played for the Tigers, but he also won with the Tigers. Won big with the Tigers. Eric.
I mean, Paul Sewald, he's one of those guys who's had kind of a very much an up and down career. It was, he wasn't great early with the Mets, but then he goes to Seattle and has some success there and helps them kind of end their postseason drought. He's then traded to the Diamondbacks, where not great during the second half, but he was a big part of that playoff run where they went to the World Series, where he was absolutely lights out from the wild card round all the way up to the NLCS, where he put up a 0 earned run average. But I think the Tigers are doing this because, man, they just need help. I think they're doing it also to send a message to that clubhouse, because when you bring someone in, someone else is going out, and when those fringe roster players are sitting by their lockers after the ball game, they start to question their own existence. And it's really, I think, really though, besides getting a guy who's had experience, who's been to the postseason, who knows what this is all about, I think it's to send a message to the clubhouse too that they gotta play better. So I think that's what part of it is too. Besides bringing a guy with experience, I think because Skip knows this really well, is when you bring in one guy, you got to send another guy out, and now that they're doing that, now they're sending a guy out. They're sending a guy either down or releasing him. Not really sure what the deal is. Guys who are those borderline roster players are sitting there starting to questioning their own existence right now with bringing in a guy like Paul Sewald. So that part of it is I think to send a message to the clubhouse saying they got to play better.
Jose, what's your take on all of this?
I was say, like, I haven't heard of Paul Sewald in a while, man. So I'm not going to be real versed on this subject. I do know that. I mean, like I said, I know Paul Sewald up a couple of years ago, but I really don't know what he's doing this year. So I'm not gonna comment on something that I'm not real versed on, to be honest with you, on what's going on with Paul Sewald. I'm sorry. I've been, like I said, I've been dealing a lot with Mexico and Mexican League. If you tell me anything about Mexico, I'll tell you the ins and outs, but I'm not real versed on Paul Sewald right now.
Don't worry about it. That's okay. I've plenty of things.
Charlie Morton, I do know about Charlie Morton more than Paul Sewald. So.
Well, some of these topics are actually brought in because we're looking for your expertise in the business, let alone the fact it has to be on Paul Sewald. So let me rephrase the question, okay?
Yeah, rephrase the question.
Yeah, absolutely, Jose. All right, let's talk about trades like Paul Sewald, okay? Here's a trade that was supposed to bolster their bullpen at the end. When you bring in a player that you're gambling on, okay, Jose? Here, let's forget about Paul Sewald for a moment, okay? Take his name out of the equation. You take on a player with damaged goods that you know isn't going to play for 3 or 4 weeks, okay? And yet you hope you can bolster your background. Have you ever taken gambles on players, on guys like Paul Sewald? Maybe that's
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, then you know more about it.
I am the king of taking chances on anybody that has success in the past. I'm real big on second opportunities. I'm big on, if they had it in the past, they could have it in again with the right coaching, with the right staff, with the right support. So yes, I mean, definitely, I would take a chance on anybody that's had success in the past. And if Paul Sewald is a guy that needs a second chance, or is coming off a surgery, is coming off an injury, and he can help, because at this point, it seems like the Tigers have nothing to lose other than, try to get lightning in the bottle with somebody. But yes, it is, and I repeat, if it makes sense and if you have a need at that point and he is available, of course. I mean, you got to take a chance on someone. It's how many times have you seen a team take a chance on somebody and has worked out for them and has actually won them championships? So you never know until you give it a try. But yes, I don't blame the risk at all. I mean, there's a risk and there's a reward for everything. Sometimes it's high risk, high reward. Sometimes a low risk, high reward kind of thing. So if you're asking me about that, of course. I mean, it's I can list you a whole list of all the second chances I gave to players, and they made it back to the big leagues, and they were about to retire. So I'm a big believer in that.
So then you know more about Paul Sewell than you think you did. It was just a concept that we had to throw. So here's the thing, Jose. Since we're on a baseball show, I just threw you a curveball and you just hit it out of the park. So you knew more about Paul Sewell than the last. All right. How about that? See, Jose, that's what you have to deal with me, okay? Whether you know about the player or not, it's a concept, my friend. Concept. You knew more about him. Go ahead, Trent. I know you're chopping a bit. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, I think Jose said something that kind of furthered my comment, right? Which is what what we all want is we want someone to come in who has experience and success doing something that we need. And because there's so few of these players in the world, right, that have actually been there and done it, you do tend to lean on the fact, like Jose's like, it's not really catching lightning in a bottle because he's already done it before. So I'm giving this guy a second chance under the right tutelage to return to that form. And you could say, like, listen, man, do I hire some 19-year-old kid who's never stood out in front of 45,000 people, or do I have this guy who's 34 who's done it 300 times in his life, and done it successfully? So I really do get that, but this is a tough one, man. And I'd put a question to Jose, like, did you have that? You just came off the playoffs in the Mexico League. Like, did you have a move late in the year that you're like, hey, we're stirring it up a little bit and like for the benefit of the greater good? I
mean, look. In the trade deadline, I picked up a player. I don't know if y'all heard of. I mean, I'm sure y'all heard of him, Cal Mitchell.
Yeah,
he was coming off a very bad season in AAA with the Padres and the Giants. He was hitting like 130, 140, and the whole season in AAA. I needed an outfielder. I didn't have much of a budget, so he came at the price that I needed him to. And he ended up going off the last month of the season, but the playoffs, he hit 7 home runs in the playoffs. Wow. Cal Mitchell. Wow. But there's a guy that nobody in the MLB wanted to take another chance on because he had hit 130 and 130 at bats in AAA. He helped me. He helped us go all the way to the finals for somebody that was already considering not playing the rest of the season. And that's what you call a second chance. Yeah. Had a guy named Zach Roscup, played many years in the major leagues, about 10 years in the big leagues, about 37 years old. Was at home, retired. I brought him in, another one of those Paul Sewell stories, and he ended up being our closer for the last stretch and in the playoffs. He ended up saving 10 games in the regular season, ended up saving 7 games in the playoffs. And that's a wonderful story. He was in his couch in April when he got a call from me saying, want to come home? I mean, you want to come play? He goes, I'm in my couch right now, but give me 2 weeks of training. I can help you. And sure enough, that's a chance you take. You take that risk, and it worked out. And in this team that I had this year, and the Piratas, I bet it's a very, 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 very small market team. Like extremely small market, small city, small stadium. Revenues are small, so I had to be very thrifty and very smart on the signings that I had to do. And by doing that, I had to take a lot of risk on players that did not have many options, so I can get them at a good rate. And now it worked out because they had the hunger, they had the drive, they wanted to succeed, and it helped. That's why anybody that deserves a second chance or really wants that hunger to play, who am I to say? I mean, it's they got to show it, and if they have that hunger and they have the talent and they have the success, why not? Let's give it a shot.
You know, I'm a secondary agent for a guy named Mickey Callaway who's been on a couch and like give him 2 weeks. That's all he needs.
I would
Hey,
say
look,
in a heartbeat.
listen. Jose shoots for the moon. It's unbelievable. He will call Nolan Ryan and ask Nolan Ryan if he wants to come pitch next year. It's
awesome.
it's amazing. You know, there's
by the way, Nolan
and he does he might he'll definitely throw 90 if he did. But you know, Jose is just an amazing just executive in that way. He will reach out, give opportunities to people, and is not afraid to reach out to the best. I mean, he'll be if Justin Verlander retires, he'll be reaching out to Justin Verlander next year to see if he wants to come pitch in Mexico.
Yeah.
And you know what? Yeah, you gotta love it. You know, that's what he should be doing.
Yeah, and so you know what? Here's the whole thing. As I listen to everybody comment on all this, all of this comes about because Jose Melendez didn't know nothing about Paul Sewald. So I decided to go out there and say, would you go out there and take a shot at this guy? All of a sudden, Jose Melendez becomes the authority on Paul Sewald. Go figure, Jose. What I've been teaching manager Callaway is be prepared for anything, Mr. Melendez. When you come back more and more often, you'll know more than you think you know. I guarantee it, okay? So don't worry. I will throw more changeups and curveballs, and you won't know where the heck they're coming from. I was a catcher once upon a time, Jose. Okay, so I knew all the idiosyncrasies of how they let the umpire get hit if I didn't get a call that I wanted. I sat there and talked more trash to umpires and hitters than you can imagine what you see on any NBA court or anywhere else. I tell you one thing about playing baseball, Jose, and being a catcher, even when you're a little leaguer, is you'll learn the psychology and the idiosyncrasies of baseball, and that's which is a thinking man's game. So now we're just going to tag Jose Melendez, the Paul Sewald expert, even though he never knew who the guy probably was going into today. Don't worry, we have a lot more transformation projects to get to as we continue, and the next one's going to be Alek Manoah. Boy, this one has it's taken some interesting twists and turns all weekend. Let me start with the sequence of all this, and then we're going to head to our resident Paul Sewald authority. That's Jose Melendez will get first crack at this one. I'm going to break him in really good today, Jose. Get ready for a ride that you've never been on, and I guarantee you'll want to come on there. What is he throwing at me this week? Don't worry, Jose. We expect you on more than one time because you're already impressing the daylights out of me. So with that said, let's go over to Alek Manoah. All right, Alek Manoah, according to Toronto Blue Jays general manager, we chose others over him, obviously. So it was very tough decision to let him go. They always are. Well, guess what? Alek Manoah, another sighting. Okay, goes with the Atlanta Braves. Hey, if you want somebody for the final weekend of the season, go the Atlanta Braves. We have Paul Sewald, and then we have Alek Manoah enter the equation. So the whole sequence starts with Toronto letting him go because obviously I think he was injured and wasn't much of a contributor throughout the year. And then the general manager said, we want somebody else. We don't need you. And tough decision. And I'm sure everything is a tough decision. Mr. Taking Chances here, Jose Melendez will bring anybody on there that has a pulse, which is obviously what I'm figuring out anyway. Difficult decision to do. Okay, they always are. But go the Atlanta Braves and learn that chop. Don't expect to do that. Otherwise, it's an injury waiting to happen. I have to go to an FAU game, so I don't need a trip to the hospital before I go to FAU Stadium. But all right, so here's another Mr. Taking Chances of Alek Manoah with the Braves this weekend. What are your thoughts about Alek Manoah? So I have to ask you, Jose, did you know anything about Alek Manoah going into this weekend?
Yeah, I actually read about it last night because
I have to make sure I get my
because he seemed like a candidate.
T's crossed and my eyes dotted.
He seemed like a candidate for Pirata Campeche for next year until the Braves got him. So he's going to be off my radar this winter. But
so you have an early morning scoop, Alek Manoah. Go ahead, Jose. I hope you're out there watching this. Go ahead, continue.
Yeah. But no, and I think he's somebody that was third runner up as a Cy Young candidate about maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah,
very good reclamation project. I think the good relationship he has probably with the GM from Atlanta from his Toronto days. I think that helped a lot. But that's a classic case that you never know. It happens a lot more than you think. It's a change of scenery. Maybe getting out of Toronto will clear his head, and maybe he'll get back to his Cy Young form with the Braves. But he is worth a shot. He's still young. I mean, I can't believe he was 27, 28 years old. I mean, that is amazing. He's going to hit his prime So if it works out for Atlanta and a change of scenery helped them, I mean, Alex Anthopoulos is going to be a genius for getting him for practically nothing. So yeah, he's definitely a candidate for a reclamation project, and definitely a candidate worth taking a chance on. I mean, that age is great, and the success is there. And he had a hard time in Toronto, but when you're there for so many years and it's not going your way, you do need a change of scenery. So I can give you a lot of examples. In my teams when I would trade for somebody. And they come to a new team, or we trade somebody to another team, and they end up beating us and getting our owner upset, But it happens a lot, more than you think. It's the law of the X is what it's called.
So let me ask you a question.
That's a great move by Atlanta.
You ever heard of Jack McKeon?
Yes.
Good. We're gonna have you're the new version of Jack McKeon. We're gonna call him Trader Jose, not Trader Jack. After all, this guy's out there taking chances. We're learning a lot about Jose Melendez. So we're just up here on talking baseball.
I love taking chances on people. I really do. I mean, anybody. I mean, like I said, they call me the king of the comebacks. I mean, almost every player every year, I usually get a player that's returning player of the year or the comeback player of the year. So I like it. I like players that had real bad years, and if you believe in them and you give them the confidence, and I always get good coaches. I mean, Mickey was with us in 2021 or 22. I'm sorry, 22, but those are the kind of people that we hire, positive people that are good baseball people for some reason or another, are not in the affiliated ball right now because they're going more with, I guess, Division III college coaches now that, are better than ex big leaguers that actually know how to communicate with players. And I take, like this year, we had Darren Brown as our manager, a good baseball guy that's been around for a long time, interim manager of the Mariners. We've had Jaime Navarro as our pitching coach. We had Wally Backman. I mean, we just have a really, really of who's who of coaches that can translate positive energy and knowing how to play the game the right way, but for some reason are not in the big leagues. But that makes a big difference when you bring players that are coming in to an organization that need confidence or reclamation projects. So, good coaching is real key, man.
Hey, listen, I swung for the fences on Callaway earlier this year. How did that work out, Callaway? It didn't work out so bad. All because the guy got peppered with questions. And St. Lucie, I was covering the Mets, and he stood there and took every bomb. And all of a sudden, I never thought Callaway was lined up as my co-host on a couple of shows, right? Callaway, didn't work out so bad. Right. I post my old buddy here on Facebook. All right, you and I need to start doing this.
You're together. A tough interviewer, Scott. That's for sure.
All right, listen. Callaway didn't get off easy at the beginning. I put him on the Motor City Madmouth. We had some time reminiscing about some things, and we took care of other business. But ever since then, I told Callaway, don't worry. Yeah, the one-on-one interview is always the toughest with me. Because I do Motor City Madmouth shows as often as I can. I've had some great interviews over the last several weeks. So let me name a couple of things out there as we continue to move Alek Manoah around the diamond a little bit. But here's what we're going to talk about. In recent weeks, get this. I'm sure you've heard of Barry Bloom, right, Jose, the longtime writer?
Yes.
Yeah, he was on a couple of weeks ago. Let's see, who else have I had on? I've had Barry Bloom, Bob Bryant of the Boston Globe, Tom Gage, as well as a lot of other big names. Neil Smith, if you're a Rangers fan, New York Rangers. And the list goes on. And those are just in the last several weeks as well. So I love one-on-ones. And when Mickey and I had fun doing our one-on-one before, they said, all right, you're graduating to being a baseball analyst for Monday night, and you're getting your own show afterwards. It is what it is. So now that's what's so cool about doing these one-on-ones. But that's what I like about you, Jose. You're not afraid to take chances. And in baseball, just because a guy's not having a good year in one place, and he gets a change of environment, all of a sudden he flourishes. And sometimes when players leave one situation for another, it isn't so good, and they should have never left in the first place. That's a topic for a different show. But now I got a new trader, Jack McKeon, named Jose Melendez on here as well. And obviously he fits the mold with Alex Manoah. And, of course, Paul Sewald did. All right, Trent, I know you're chopping at the bit. In fact, Trent should be chopping at the bit a lot. He's been off for a while, so we're trying to make sure we let Trent Clark, okay, who's been a volcano waiting to erupt, go out there and get some things off of his chest. Because, oh, don't worry, Clark, he came just in time for October baseball. This guy's smart, this guy. You know what? Take a little time out, rejuvenate. And now we got him ready for October baseball. Clark can be out every Saturday, except when he's doing college football. All right, Clark, we're talking about Manoah. Don't go back
Well,
to Seawald.
you do gotta love October baseball, right? Like it's the best. So, Alek Manoah. I mean, Ross has got to make a tough decision there. 27 years old. My guesstimate here on this whole thing is that he was a projected number one, like a long-term number one for Toronto. And to Jose's point, like he's young. He's like 27 years old. Like he's a young guy, and so he's a projected number one as early as the beginning of last season. So in 24. He is on fire for being a projected number one for Toronto. And so May he gets hurt. My estimate is that his rehabilitation did not go well, whether it was attitude, how he managed it, whether he reacted well to it. And I think Jose makes a great point because the guys in Atlanta do know him because he's a former Toronto guy. Ross has got numbers, which, by the way, what a blessing to have the numbers that you could release that guy. Like this guy is awesome. So that tells you a little bit of the depth of the arms over in Toronto, which is a good sign for Toronto. And when you release a guy like this, I think Jose is exactly right. He's a young guy. You can go get this guy back into form somehow. But I would guess that something went wrong and just something, two ships that passed there with a young guy trying to get healthy. And, who knows? Mickey's been there, of course, as an injured pitcher. Your psyche goes through a lot when you're sitting on the sidelines. Everyone's getting the better. You can't make the club in the tub, all the crap that's going through your mind. And he's still a young guy and you're questioning, do I have a future? Do I have this? And so, people can act differently in their personality. They can do things that aren't normal for their behavior. And you really see a person when they're down about how they're going to react to hard things. And I'm not saying Alex didn't do well in that at all. I'm just saying it's a different deal. They got to bring him back. And maybe it's just the fact that Toronto's got so much good. They don't have to be patient with this guy. But, I think to Jose's part, whoever gets him on this second chance, I think has a real opportunity. And that may be exactly what Alec needs. He may just need a new geography, some new scenery, some guys around him that just supporting him and getting him in the right mentality to get ready again and come back to be that guy. Because at 27, he's got plenty of time to come back and be a top one or two on a staff.
Eric?
I mean, it's a tough deal for Alek Manoah. I think that, obviously, he had the high of 2022 where he finished second in the Cy Young voting, was an all-star. And then 23, it kind of came crashing down. I think part of it, too, was, and I believe this, he failed to adjust. There is a time where your stuff can be the greatest thing on dirt one year. And then the next year, everybody's plopping it over the center field, over the center field fence in the batter's eye area. It's a tough deal for him. He's hurt. He's been hurt for a lot of the year. From what I saw when he was in the minors, he was having a pretty good year there where it was, you could easily call him up. But I think what it comes down to is I think Ross is trying to deal with the right now, which is an opportunity to win in the postseason rather than the future where Alek Manoah could come back, round back into form and then everything's great and all well there. And maybe he becomes an all-star again. Maybe he doesn't, but at the very least possibly become an arm that you want in your rotation. But I think Ross is kind of focused on the now. I mean, that's the difficult thing about baseball operations is they have to balance the present with the future, which is not easy. Because one of them is going to suffer. No matter what you pick, one of them is going to suffer. You cannot. Very rarely can you get the two spears lined up and everything works out. It's all said and well. I'm sure Jose has dealt with this a lot, in his career, having to balance the present and the future. I'm sure he can attest just how hard it is. But I think what it came down to is, Toronto is just prioritizing other guys right now. They're not in a position where they should be taking on reclamation projects because those are for teams that, say like the Washington Nationals, for example, that really aren't contending, but are willingly can roll the dice and see if they can they can make that pitcher better and possibly get something out of them. But Toronto's not in that position right now. They've got a chance to win the AL East. They've got a chance. They are going to be in the postseason. So it just comes down to it unfortunately comes down to numbers, and that's why Alec is no longer there. But I think going to Atlanta will be nice. He knows some people there. They know what kind of pitcher he is, and I think it's going to be a good environment for him to kind of start to kind of build his way back up into being a competent big league pitcher.
All right, Mickey.
Yeah, I obviously agree with what everybody said. My theory in all this is, look, we talked about him being projected as a number one. We know that there has been some controversy surrounding this kid and some outspokenness in the past with this kid, right? And when you're a baseball player or especially a guy that's projected to be a number one, you go on rehab and you come back, you expect and you believe in yourself that you're going to go be that number one starter again. So his whole time he's rehabbing, he's expecting, I'm going to get healthy. I'm going to slide right back into the rotation, and I'm just going to be the number one again. Well, Toronto's having the best, team they've had in the last 20 years, and they're having ultimate success. And if you're Ross Atkins, you don't want to disturb that. Right. I think this played a huge part in this. You're not sure what you're going to get out of Alec on a major league mound at this moment. You don't want to just slide him in. Everything's going great. Your team's playing well. Your pitchers are performing. You don't want this person. And look, if you make the playoffs and he doesn't make the playoff roster, it's going to be a storm, right? He's going to be outspoken. I need to be on the roster. This is ridiculous. I was their number one and then I got injured. It's not my fault. Those are the things that happen, and these are the things that Toronto's trying to curtail and make sure there's no distractions going into one of their best seasons that they've had in a long time to go have success to try and win a World Series championship. So it's just easier to let the kid go somewhere else. It's just unfortunate you're losing a pitcher at that age that could help you in the future. But hey, Toronto doesn't know if it's going to take them 20 years to get back to this spot again. So you have to do what you have to do to keep the camaraderie, keep everybody where they need to be, and not have any controversy going into these playoffs.
Yeah, well, I mean, the fact is Brian Snitker, we can't lose fact. This could be his last game, too, with the Braves as well. So you never know. It's a good opportunity for him maybe to get into the game and spend time with learning from Brian Snitker as well. So obviously we're working on Jose Melendez, and hopefully we'll be able to get his internet connection back. In the meantime, we'll use this as an opportunity for Candy Epling to come in for a station break, and hopefully we'll be able to get Jose Melendez. Have a few more things to get to on Talking Baseball. My name is Scott Morganroth, Motor City Madmouth. Please be joined by Jose Melendez, Mickey Callaway, Trent Clark, Eric Katz. Candy Epling obviously is doing the producing in the background. So as soon as Jose gets his internet worked out, then hopefully we can add a couple more things to it, but we have a couple more topics to get to nonetheless. Go ahead, Candy.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. Talks about media and how it has evolved. Old school media versus new school media. Get your copy today. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there is a plethora of great content, so go check it out. If you want to listen to our podcast, you can find us wherever you get your podcast. If you see the red subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, that means you haven't subscribed to us yet. What are you waiting for? Come on, hit that button. And then also hit the notification button so you know when we go live. If you want to advertise or sponsor a show or any of our shows or all of our shows, call Scott 954-304-4941. If you want to be a guest or have topic ideas, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Back to you, Scott.
All right. Glad to have Well, Jose Melendez back, and we're going to
Sorry.
continue.
Okay, here we go.
I didn't pay the internet bill. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well,
so-
Laredo isn't the most metropolitan city.
Exactly.
That's all right. Stuff like that happens. That's why you have station breaks and other things in between, Jose. So you'll overcome these things. I'm so
Cartel Wi-Fi hack.
Yeah, so I don't worry about that stuff. Anyway, a lot of things are going to get you. Then we're going to dive into the Mexican League a bit more. One other headline of note that I should get to, or actually a couple of other ones that are really, really, really interesting. So let's talk about the fact that the St. Louis Cardinals plan to have Ivan Herrera return to catching in 2026 after the season really mostly spent at DH. Ollie Marmol says that team has a hands-on offseason plan for Herrera, focused on the main focus will be on his arms, his strength, his game calling, and his health. So, with that said, Jose, this is definitely ideally suited for you. What are your thoughts about Ivan Herrera going back behind the dish?
Well, I mean, it's so interesting in Major League Baseball how they don't value defense much anymore than back in the day. Like they care more about strikeouts and home runs now. I'm sorry, it's home runs, and they don't care about the strikeouts anymore. But catching, as everybody knows, a very important position to win a championship, especially how to call the game, especially the block, throwing out runners and stuff, obviously. But it's just I'm not really in agreement to put someone that's been a DH for long go back into catching just because of his bat. That is something that it's been lost in the essence of MLB. They need to go back to the basics and be able to get catchers that actually know how to be able to handle the pitching staff, especially at the major league level. But that's something that is very secondary. I've seen a lot of videos or a lot of games where they're catching on one knee now, and they're foregoing the pass balls as runners on third base and big run and scoring instead of blocking it. But also, I get where they're trying to go and trying to get that lower strike, which they say it's a better chance of stealing a lower strike than a pass ball or a wild pitch. But that is something that over here, in our side of the baseball here in Mexico, we still preach fundamentals. We still preach how to bunt. We still preach hit and runs and how to play the game the small way to win a one-run game. And we focus on our catchers, make sure they block with runners in scoring position and runners on third base. And but like I said, now in MLB, it's all about if you have a bat, they'll find a position for you. And it doesn't matter if it's a position that is very important to win. But then again, since the whole MLB is doing the same thing, everybody's leveling off now and doesn't really affect anybody at this point. So hopefully one day it'll go back to where it was before and stick to fundamentals and stuff. But it really surprises me a lot of stuff that happened right now in MLB. And then not only does it surprise me, but everybody follows suit. So if one team does it and they win one game with it, the next team will do it. So maybe I can win two games with it and go. And from there, we have a lack of catching options in MLB. Because trust me, I've signed a lot of guys that were major league catchers, and I figured, wow, they're major league catchers. It can't be that bad. They come here and wow, we have catchers that from our academy is 16, 18 years old with better fundamentals than the major league catcher. And that's pretty sad to see at this point in age and in juncture, So hopefully it goes back to that because there are some good talent out there, but they're not being appreciated much because they don't hit home runs.
Clarky.
Well, I love the health aspect of it. My question is, why wasn't this guy on a hands-on program every offseason to get this guy healthy and ready? Like, why are we waiting for 7 years into his career or whatever to get him there, which amazes me. And I think the contradictory thing to Jose, which I agree with 100%, is like, really, is it really about the bat? Because the offensive statistics are the worst thing I've ever seen. I mean, these teams suck at hitting. Like, it's embarrassing, like what the numbers are now. I mean, if a guy hits 300 now, it's amazing. And I mean, that just isn't the way it was back when I was, in 90s and 2000s. There's a lot of guys who could hit. and the pitching was very good. And guys knew how to pitch. So I agree with Jose that I think the very idea of the fundamentals took a turn a long time ago, very similar to we're seeing with this resurgence in the NFL, where you see the Detroit Lions and they're talking about tackling and teaching people to tackle again. Because when we were coaching our kids in football, we were like, oh, don't watch the NFL to learn how to tackle, because those DBs don't tackle. They're paid to cover. They don't tackle people. So it's a weird, the best in the world, and they're fundamentally unsound. And it's to me, it deters from the product. I mean, I don't love it.
Can't you?
I mean, now, the fundamentals in baseball have been gone for a while. We got pitchers who are just throwers now, where we just want to see them dial it up to 199 to 100 plus miles an hour, and it's not. And then the fielding is just atrocious. I mean, I'm not even sure if Major League Baseball players know how to base run anymore. I really don't, because some of the the base running errors that I've seen, it's just ridiculous. It's just you think it would be common sense, but I don't like the move with Herrera, because honestly, you have a good defensive catcher in Pedro Pajes. He was a plus 14. He was a plus 11 in defensive runs saved this year, which is like the metric that they use to measure the effectiveness of a catcher. Ivan Herrera is not, at least early sample size anyway, is not a very good defensive catcher. Yes, he can bat. Yes, he can bash. However, he's been hurt. I mean, the last time we had him behind the plate was he unfortunately Pete Alonso hit him in the arm, and he was lost for a couple months, and so you lose that bat, and that was all because they were trying to steal strikes, which I'm very outspoken about it being there are more things wrong with it than can go right with it. But it's just I don't like it. I mean, if you wanted him to be a catcher, you should have worked with him last offseason on it. Yeah, I get he was recovering. And also, it doesn't help, though, that he's going to have an offseason surgery. What's that going to look like?
Right.
And, that also complicates the future as well. So, to me, there's nothing wrong with him being just a DH. He's proven he can be a force offensively. Why not just leave him there? You're going to keep him healthy. He's shown to have injury problems, and he's shown to have durability problems. But putting him behind the plate while he catches, that's just going to shorten his career. And then what are you going to do? This is a guy who's looks like he could be the centerpiece of that rebuild over there. But you putting him in a position to be a catcher, you're just going to shorten his career. And you won't have that guy who's built to bash. Yeah, you can move him to DH later in his career, but is he going to have gas left in the tank when you move him back? That remains to be seen, though. So I don't like it. I just think that Pedro Baez has proven to be durable, and he's a much better defensive catcher than Ivan Herrera is. And I just think that this is a prime example on why the Cardinals have fallen on their face in recent years.
Skip.
Yeah, I think would they come out the other day and said they're going to use the ABS system in 2026. So all of this that everybody's talked about is going to get even worse. You're not going to have to do anything other than just catch the ball, and then they, let the electronics call the balls and strikes for you. Right. So, they're going to move more and more to less fundamentals and just, hey, go out there and drive in some runs, try to hit homers or whatever. The game is kind of, becoming that way in all aspects. I think that it's just, it's kind of started, about 10 years ago. Now, when you're in Little League or coming through these perfect game things, and it's all about showcase baseball. You're kind of a gun for hire. You're going from this Little League team to this Little League team, and we just want to see guys throw hard and hit the ball far, and it's not fundamentally sound baseball anymore. All the runs I see score in the games I go to now, it's pass balls, errors, things like that. It has nothing to, and everybody throws hard and everybody can hit the ball far, but people are still scoring the same amount of runs because the fundamentals are absolutely atrocious. And I just don't hate to see that, kind of leak over into Major League Baseball. And I think Eric kind of said it. It already has. The base running is terrible. When I was managing the Mets, we started doing some silly things on the base running, on the base paths. And during batting practice, we were in Arizona. During batting practice, the Arizona fans are in the stands watching. They all come to watch batting practice, and I made those guys run the bases. We went from first base, and we did fundamentals at first, second, and third. And once I got them over to third, I said, how embarrassing is this that we're a major league team, and we're out here practicing during BP. Fans in the stands are watching you guys try to learn to run the bases. Right. And you're major league players. Right. You know, you got to teach the fundamentals. The major league coaches can't stand for this, and the front offices. We've got to get back to doing things the right way. One of the reasons Trent and myself have a World Series ring is because Mike Scioscia stressed unbelievable base running. We didn't have the greatest players on the planet. We had a great team that had great camaraderie, but we played the game the right way. We had Eckstein. He made every play at short. He didn't make unbelievable plays, but he made every routine play. We took the extra bases when we could. That was Mike Scioscia's, kind of shtick. That's what he did, and that's why his teams were successful. And I think if we can get, some more. Jose alluded to it earlier. We're hiring these showcase coaches in Major League Baseball, and the Mike Scioscias of the world are kind of getting filtered out, and everything's kind of going out the door. Let's as a pitching coach, let's just throw it as hard as you can. Let's hit it as far as you can. No, we've got to learn how to play the game, go the other way, be a crafty, know when to, get ahead, throw strikes, things like that. And all that's going away, and it's really affecting our America's pastime. And it's just not in a good way.
Well, here, the best part about me having a bunch of guys like you doing all this stuff and me waiting until the very end to say anything. You said everything I need to say, so it allows me to preview other shows. So with that said, Mickey talks about the ABS system. We're going to be doing a future show on umpiring and all the missed calls that were done all year. I'm going to compile a list of the ones that certain umpires are going to do that. Also, within the next few weeks or so, everybody's heard about the upcoming fact that the Rays sale is complete. Well, you know what? I have a guy out in Tampa by the name of Leo Haggerty who will be joining the Saturday Talking Baseball show. Leo and I used to do another show together with another individual on Saturdays. Leo's a good friend of mine in the Tampa area, so there's no better person than to have Leo Haggerty on talking about what lies ahead for the Tampa Bay Rays. So that's something for everybody to look forward to. Leo will talk about, and I and the rest of us here will talk about the Rays stadium situation, as well as what's taking place with the sale and so forth. So in the next few weeks or so, be prepared for Tampa Bay Rays out there. We'll talk about the ABS show. I don't know whether that'll be on a Saturday or Monday. I'll make the decision depending on where baseball goes in October. Not really much more to be said. I understand the move by the Cardinals doing what they're doing, but here's a team that's in transition. I'll get into some of their attendance issues this year, which is uncharacteristic for the St. Louis Cardinals, but not today. A lot more to get to. Obviously, the show is this one packed, and I have a lot more to get to, but these are some of the important topics, including one that I also want to get to. Then we're going to talk about Trevor Bauer, Robinson Cano, Keon Broxton, Mickey, and more Mexican League stuff. Hang in there, Jose. You and your internet are doing great. Got to keep you going with Major League Baseball as well. I have to think about these guys. I'll tell you, I come up with a packed show. Make sure when we're talking baseball, we don't leave any stones unturned. With that said, let's talk about fire sales. Do they do fire sales in Mexico like what we saw that took place with the Minnesota Twins? The Twins, mind you, let me give you the information on that. They were in $400 million in debt. They decided against selling the ball club, and they got a local investor involved. Eric was adamant in one of his rants here about the Minnesota Twins fire sale. So I want to bring that up with a guy in Mexico that could probably relate to a lot of these sorts of matters. Let's face the reality. Ever since the Twins had that fire sale, they plummeted in the American League Central Division as well. They're above the White Sox, but the White Sox are up and coming, and they have shown a lot of progress from last year's debacle. Well, let's keep the focus here on the Minnesota Twins, Jose. This fire sale was a tough blow to the Twins. And the reason why I say that is I had an opportunity to work with the Twins during spring training this past year, and it looked like things were really upbeat with Rocco Baldelli, and now the situation has turned upside down. We know the financial situation with Paulette has certainly taken a turn for the worse, and that this situation is, I'll tell you, Pablo Lopez and a few other guys. There's a lot of work to do, but let's talk about the Twins and what takes place in Mexico. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, having a Firestone in the big leagues is really tough. I mean, that is really, really, really bad for the fan base, obviously. And I can't believe there's still Firestones right now in 2025. I remember in the Marlins fire sale in 1988, where it was pretty after winning the World Series. The economics were very different at that time, but at this point, I mean, with all these revenues coming in, I know the TV deal was a big factor in that, but I think it's real tough to say that to your fan base for next season and see what you did. If you cannot afford to have a team in this point, there's a lot other people in the United States that could be able to handle a market like Minnesota. But in terms of the Mexican League, yeah, I mean, every year everybody loads up as much they can. They spend money that they don't have to compete, and then during the middle of the season, when they know they're not competing, it's worse. It's worse. I mean, they sometimes the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. What I mean is the poor teams sell the players to the rich teams like Mexico City, and everybody else is in a disadvantage. But it happens a lot. It happens a lot in Mexico. Obviously, the fans get extremely upset. It's a very passionate fan base in Mexico, where baseball is. The games are. There's a party in a baseball game and interferes. That's what I see it. Every game is a party, and there happens to be a baseball game. So when their team is not winning, the fans just don't show up. And when the fans don't show up, obviously the owners are going to cut as much cost as they can to be able to finish the season. And unfortunately, like I said, it happens a lot, and it's not something I like to see, not something you want to see, but obviously it's the economics. That there is no revenue sharing in Mexico. It's everyone's by themselves, and ticket prices are not as high, so the revenues are not as great as in the major leagues. But at the end, it's what you got to do to survive every season. There's a lot of big payroll teams in Mexico, a lot of small payroll teams in Mexico. Even the small payroll teams have trouble with their revenues. So if you're not winning, because that's what the owners want to do is win. This league is about winning. It's win now. There is no 3-year plan. There is no 4-year plan. There is no development. It's you win now. And if you win now, you'll get the money. If you don't win, they're gonna cut payroll. So it's extremely cutthroat. And I'll repeat, something I'm not for is you can have a manager here, and you can have Ozzie Guillen manage here, and in 2 weeks, if he goes 1 win and 10 losses, he's gone in 2 weeks. There is no 3 or 4 year contracts or anything. So, like I said, it's unfortunate at the MLB level. It's still happening. These fire sales and a bad image for the fans. There's another bad image about position players pitching in games at this point in 2025 as well, in MLB games that have depreciated the essence of MLB. But like I said, I really hope that it does turn. It does go back where the game is as beautiful as it was, and for many years. But the last 10 years has been really, really interesting to watch MLB.
Okay, now for Trent, Mickey, and Trent, we're going to take this question and cut it in half, okay? Because I wanted the Mexican side for Jose. Yeah. So I'm going to lead off with you, Mickey, first. What are your thoughts about what took place out in Minnesota with that unfortunate fire sale that saw them trade away everybody on the planet?
Yeah, it is unfortunate, and it's unfortunate for the fans, right? Because that's what this league is all about. It's for the fans, and the teams, the owners, they're going to be making money no matter what because they get the opportunity to sell this franchise that has been appreciating, for years and years and years. Just to a degree that's kind of unheard of. We talked about the other day where the Wilpons sold the Mets. They bought it for a couple $100 million. They sold it for $2.6 billion, and that's without having great success. Year in and year out. So it's just unfortunate for the fans, but I understand you have to rebuild sometimes. And, as far as the Mexican League goes, I've been part of it at times, and Jose's right, and I've been part of, baseball in Korea, Taiwan, and, if things aren't going well, things change on a dime. And that's how it has to be because you're trying to put the best product on the field for the fans. So if things don't work out, you got to cut ties, bring in some more people, try to excite the fans then so they show up. But, in Major League Baseball, it's a little bit different. Now they have to convince the fans that they're heading in the right directions. Oh, hey, stick with us during a rebuild and things like that. And that you're going to get less fans in the meantime until,
right.
Hopefully whatever your rebuild, when whatever approach you take works so you can bring the fans back in a couple of years.
Excellent point. All right, Eric, just again, Mickey obviously can speak from the Mexican League standpoint. I want you to focus on the fact that we're talking about the Twins rebuild. You ranted about it. You can expand on it, and then we'll go to Trent. And then I'm going to have a question that'll be mainly for Mickey and especially Jose. Eric, go ahead.
Well, part of the reason the Twins did what they did was it was a team, unfortunately, that did miss its window. And part of that too was Joe Polad decided to be an idiot and then decided to right size his payroll after his team had finally won a playoff series after being hit around for a number of years because they were always competitive during that time. It's just they just could never get over the hump. And he decides, oh, I'm going to right size my payroll. Uses the excuse of the television deal, which to me it just became another excuse for some of these owners to hide behind. And then another reason too was their core of Royce Lewis and Carlos Correa and Byron Buxton, they got hurt. They got hurt. They could not stay healthy at the same time ever. I think I saw a number where it was less than 100 games that they actually played together in the 3 or 4 years that they were on the same team. So, you're not going to win that way if your core is hurt at the same time. I mean, and it happened to the Chicago White Sox where they just got hurt. And, so that was another issue there. I think it was also the Polads really were trying to sell the team. It's just, unfortunately, they just couldn't get that team was just so, I think I read somewhere they were so debt ridden that, nobody wanted to take that chance because also baseball teams are hard to sell. They are not compared to any other business in this country. It is not the most bang for your buck. A lot of people do it because they love the game. It's a hobby. They want to give back, blah, blah, give back to the community, the city, blah, blah, blah. But they are not the most bang for your dollars, unlike other businesses that you could potentially own where you can make a significant amount of money. But again, what it came down to was, a lot of it wasn't totally Joe Polad, but a lot of the reason was Joe Polad decided to right size his payroll at the wrong time. He won the AL Central. That should be the year where you're thinking like, I'll lose some money for a little while and see where this thing goes. And then, year or two late, 2 or 3 years later, if it's still not working, then fine. But I was surprised at the timing of it, given that it was the trade deadline. And, normally fire sales don't really happen during the trade deadline. They happen a lot more during the off season where you obviously have a bunch of time to trade and make phone calls and things like that. During the trade deadline, you only have a short period of time to do that. Although the Marlins seem to be the model franchise for conducting fire sales. So I wouldn't want the Twins didn't at least stoop to those levels. But again, what it came down to was, it was the decision in 2000, right after they won the AL Central and actually won a playoff series. And put up a pretty respectable fight against a peak Houston Astros team at that point in time, where they seemed to be going to ALCSs time and time again and having a chance at winning the World Series. But again, a lot of it goes back to Joe Polad's idiot decision to also right size his payroll, or in his words anyway, because he didn't want to spend the money to keep it going. He's in it to make money rather than doing it for the fans, because ultimately that's what the game is about these days. It's about the fans. And he pulls off the fire sale, and now he's not selling the team. Boy, he probably shouldn't wander outside his front door right now, because he is not. He's probably a marked man in the city of Minneapolis.
All right, Clarky has the last word on this.
Oh my gosh, man. Okay, so you guys know I've started 14 companies. I am the president of the Entrepreneurs Organization in West Michigan. I am a business owner. So I'm just going to disagree with everything Cassie just said, because and he's not wrong. He's not wrong in any way, but as a business, they are bleeding cash. And there's a line of people who want to buy Major League Baseball teams. They love it. They want to own it for status, not for cash, which is very important. Because what Eric said is exactly right. There's not a lot of cash in owning an account of like a business that makes, you spend $400 million a year and you're like, oh, we made $10 million. That's a terrible return on $400 million spent. And there's a bunch of risks that you could lose 30, 40 million a year, which it looks like Minnesota was probably doing that for like 10 years, right? You don't get $400 million in debt overnight. So my guess is what happened is that, when the owner went to the GM and said, hey, listen, we are $100 million in debt. We got to stop the bleeding. No more. He's like, wait a minute, we're right in the middle. We just wanted this. And he's trying to convince him that we can't do this now. We're just getting traction. But there's also a bunch of things that are decisions that affect Minnesota. You had a dome, and then you went to an outdoor field in Target Field. It's amazing. It's gorgeous. Has anyone been to Minneapolis in April and May? It's cold as crap. Like, fans don't want to go and sit when they can watch on their big screen TVs. And if you're not going to be a winner, nobody comes. Like, you have to win unless you're like Toronto hockey, Chicago Cubs. Like, you don't have to win and people will come. But for the rest of everybody, you have to win to get your fan base to come. Yeah. And so you got to put a winner on the field. And I think this is why the business is going to become insolvent. The owner can't keep stroking checks for $25 million a year. So he's becoming insolvent on this whole thing. And so they're like, hey, man, maybe we need to move this and sell it, right? And so this is where I think it's back to maybe if these people can't make decisions. And we were in Anaheim, as Mickey was talking about, and we understood, like, we had to do the little things. We didn't have a big budget. So Mike Socia said, listen, we go first to third. And everybody in the organization knew what that meant. We play aggressive baseball and take risks and chances. Joe Madden, meanwhile, is running behind the scenes, making sure that every little detail that we need to do is done so that we can compete on the major league level with the Dodgers, with the Yankees, with all these high market teams. And we're doing every little thing because fractionally you can't be like terrible in one area because everyone in that league will exploit you, right? So this is why, and you've heard me say it before, why don't we just go to relegation? When these companies can't put their product, and sometimes it's a business decision that affects the product, put Minnesota in AAA and let's get Louisville, let's get Charlotte, let's get Indianapolis, let's get Mexico City in the league. Like, why can't we bring in a team that actually can afford and support a team that's going to put the high quality product that they deserve? That's where I'm at.
All right. Well, here,
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you why. Because number one, they'll never do it because teams like the Pittsburgh Pirates would probably be there for over 50 plus years, and
they'd never be back.
They haven't come back. I mean, sure, you might get flashes of them every once in a while, but they never come back. The A's would be down there for a long time. It would happen to too many teams because there's not enough teams spending enough money. I mean, that's just what it comes down to. Because there's just even the White Sox, you could probably make the same argument about they wouldn't be back up for a while. So because there's a sharp divide between the spenders and the non-spenders, it would never work.
Well, listen, we can get into the Twin situation all day long. We have a lot more to get to. I'll just say this: the one thing Clarky mentioned, and I have a lot more I want to get to. So but there's a lot more to go here. Here's the thing, okay? I'm like Clarky said, I'm a little mind boggled why you go from a dome stadium to an open field in those months. That's why Milwaukee did the exact opposite, got a retractable roof.
Yeah.
That would have been ideal for Minnesota. I think that and Milwaukee got it right. Minnesota did not get it right. And that's all I'll have to say. I don't want to second guess. A lot more to get to as well. This question is only designed for two people. A lot more to get to. All right, we'll go to Jose first. How much of the World Baseball Classic mean in the Mexican League? Jose and Mickey are the only ones that will comment on this. A lot more to get to.
You talk about the World Baseball Classic?
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, well, it's a big deal. It's a big deal for us. You know what happens a lot of the WBC in Mexico is it's a lot of good players in our league that can play at the WBC, but obviously they go first for the major league players. And a lot of the major league players are extremely talented and very, very, very good, but not as dedicated as the ones that we have in our league. So right now we're kind of like in the middle of trying to see how we can get more players from the Mexican League to play in the WBC and be able to add them to with the major league players. But what's going on the last 2 or 3 times is there've been a lot of major league players that really don't have any interest in playing, but they're kind of like, hey, you're Mexican, like it'll be good if you come to WBC instead of asking to be in the WBC. So like I said, it's a really big deal. I think last WBC, Benji Gill is the manager of the WBC, did a very, very, very good job, and he'll be at it again. And we're going to try to build a team that could be able to compete in the final four of this WBC. But it's extremely important, and we get excited about it, and we'll have a committee with our league and with MLB and trying to see if we can get the best amount of team to be able to compete like we did last time in the last 4 years ago or 3
All
years
right,
ago.
Mickey.
Yeah,
Jose.
there are some amazing players in the LMB that just never get a chance to come over here to the United States and play. There's tons of hitters over there that could go step in a major league uniform right now and put up some great numbers. I mean, they are scrappy little players that know how to hit the ball, right? It might be a little unorthodox. Jose knows it. You see some of these guys and their stances, they got a little flair to them, but they can outright hit. And it doesn't matter how hard you're throwing or what you're throwing up there. They're hitting 330, they're hitting 320 every year. And it's a great, level of baseball. And, I think like Jose said, sometimes it's more about name recognition than it is going and getting the best players to go play on this WBC team. They could put together some players and put together a great team, but for some reason or another, you want to go get the guys that have some name recognition, and they might not be as passionate about going to play in this event. You want players that want to play in it, that want to go out there and represent the country and put the best players that you can on the field that have the desire to go out there and win. Not just doing it for fanfare and to get their name out there and represent the country, just because they are who they are. You want that true pride, and that's what these guys in the LMB really are. They're out there playing their hearts and souls out for the communities that they play in.
Okay, now we'll go on to something a bit more controversial. There isn't anybody on the planet than Trevor Bauer. Keep in mind, we have 3 more topics to get to after this. So, Mickey, obviously, we'll lead off with you on this one. Trevor Bauer, one of the most controversial signings to play in Mexico. He's back in Japan this year. What are your thoughts about Trevor Bauer that he ended up playing time in baseball? I still think he should be in MLB. Not talking about that today, but Trevor Bauer was certainly a big name that went there. Mickey, some thoughts on Trev?
Yeah, great pitcher. Obviously, he's one of the best pitchers on the planet. No matter where he's playing. He went over to the Mexican Baseball League and had an amazing season. I think he was 10-0 or something with a 1-something ERA. Led the league in strikeouts, just dominated over there. And unfortunately, he didn't go back. I would have loved to see him continue to play there. He probably, obviously getting more money to go over to Japan. But we all know his background. We all know the difficulties that has been presented when he didn't have some controversial stuff going on, and then you add on the other stuff, and it's just a hard sell for teams to sign him back. But he's a great pitcher. He's going to compete, and he had a great run over there in Mexico that year for sure.
All right, go ahead, Jose.
I mean, he should be in the major leagues. Just playing, period. I mean, what a great pitcher. And not only that, but he was a model teammate, model citizen there with the Mexico City Reds. And he's the classic case of, whatever happened in the past, nobody's perfect. Everybody's made mistakes. I just don't understand why nobody would give him a second chance or, get back to the big leagues. I mean, he is a very, very, very good pitcher. He could be a number one guy. And not only that, but how much would he cost you? $700,000 at this point? I mean, whatever he wants to come for the league minimum. But like I said, I mean, for some reason, they don't want to give him an opportunity, the MLB teams, but they've given players with similar backgrounds more opportunities. Domingo Germán was one of them. But he's been very outspoken, which I don't think MLB likes. But in terms of, the feedback that I got from him when he was here in Mexico was amazing. I mean, great teammate, just humble. I mean, played his ass off here with the Mexico City, and I just don't get it. But those are the things that MLB really needs to look into. If you want the best players to play in the MLB, you got to give opportunities. I mean, nobody's perfect in this world, and nobody's perfect in this game. And he has been not guilty. I know he's his whatever he committed was not the most appropriate thing for any team, but it was a not guilty. He served his suspension, and he should be able to get an opportunity. But I don't see it. I don't see it happening, especially he's having a mediocre year right now in Japan, and next year you're going to see him again in Mexico City. That's 100%,
okay,
fact.
Clarky.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on the show before. We talked about Trevor, and obviously he's a talent, man. And I think for whatever reason, MLB's just blacklisted the kid, and I think it's wrong on a lot of levels, and I do think he's got the talent to play there, and that's wrong on a lot of levels. I don't think that this is how it works, but I guess this is how it's working. So it's shocking, and yeah, it's a tough deal. It's a tough deal for Trevor.
Canty.
Well, here's why I think he hasn't come back, because let's be honest, baseball's got some bad people in it. I mean, there are some just awful human beings in our sport, unfortunately. I mean, we all know we all can name some names, but they're there. But what it comes down to is this: Germán got his second chance is because Germán, he had a similar situation. Actually, he did do what Trevor Bauer was accused of doing. It was already proven there. But the thing was, Domingo Germán laid low when it happened. He didn't say anything. He didn't make any statements. He didn't try and pronounce his innocence. He just laid low and did what he had to do. And because he wasn't saying anything, he got his second chance. Trevor Bauer, the reason why he hasn't got a second chance, he never got a second chance, is because the man would not shut up. That's his biggest problem. He would not shut up about the situation. That was his undoing. Is he? Yes, he was ultimately proven innocent. The courts. We have a nice court system that will do that for us. As far as that goes, but he would not shut up. Had he just shut up and laid low after it all went down, a team would have taken a chance on it. Because he wouldn't shut up, he just invited a firestorm of media people. You think what teams want those kinds of people make it a circus atmosphere during spring training, especially for the first few weeks of the regular season? No. If you went to a place like New York, I don't think they would be able to park enough cars there. That's the thing. He would not shut up. Do I think he deserves a second chance? Absolutely. Baseball has some people who really you question whether they really deserve the second chance or not, because like I said, baseball, our sport, does have some bad people in it. And we all know them. We've all known them. We've all either managed against them, played against them, seen them out, whatever, or heard about some of their antics off the field. But Trevor Bauer would not shut up. He doesn't.
Hey, Eric, if you tell Trevor Bauer not to shut up, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to tell you to shut up because I got more topics to get to. Get it over with.
I'm getting there. And
okay, good.
But yes, But yes, had he just done that, I believe he'd be back in the league. But he didn't. He didn't subscribe to the fact it's better to say nothing at all. That's just not in his DNA, and that's why he's out. He's an outlier in baseball right now.
Okay, Eric, thank you. Shut up. Okay. All right.
That's not nice, Scott.
I was waiting to get those words out, and my little student has definitely allowed me to tell him to shut up more than talk, and he knows I love him anyway. All right. Well, one guy we won't tell to shut up. Skip, I think you already talked about Trevor, right? At the beginning? Okay, so let's go on to Robinson Cano. Obviously, he's one of your players. We'll go into him briefly. After that, we bring Candy Ebling on the show for Cam Bronson. Then, time permitting, Mickey will have a couple follow-up questions. But this is where the rest of the show is going. Robinson Cano, Keon Bronson, time permitting, Mickey's questions. Okay, that's where we're at. We watch the clock. We want to make sure every topic gets covered. We want to make sure everybody has a fair opportunity to talk about everything. And so far we're on a decent path. I want to make sure it's going. Thanks, Eric. I love you, man. That's why we bring you on here, because you're young and you're brash, and at least you can handle being told to shut up in a very nice, positive way instead of taking offense to it. Most people would have a problem with it. All right. Well, with that said, back to I'll shut up now and get to Robinson. Skip, he's one of your players. Talk about Rob.
Yeah, I think, if we're tying it into the Mexican Baseball League, these guys, they want to keep on playing, right? They love the game so much that they want to continue to play. To be in Mexico City and get to go watch Robinson Cano and Trevor Bauer play on the same team together, what an experience it must have been for Mexico City fans. I'm going to talk a little bit about our Monclova roster when I was there. We were talking about Robinson Cano. He's playing in Mexico. That's just an amazing thing, and I love that. Jose Melendez put together a roster in Monclova, which is in northern Mexico. Nobody's ever heard of the town, and the fans get to go see Pablo Sandoval, Josh Reddick, Chris Carter, Addison Russell, Bruce Maxwell, Keon Broxton, all on the same roster. That's amazing. Think about that. These are all guys that had some really nice success in the major leagues. And then you put a guy that, put up Hall of Fame numbers like Robinson Cano to go play in Mexico City. What a great league it is. I love being over there and managing there. It's exciting. Like Jose said, it's a party, and then there's a baseball game gets in the way. The fans are that passionate about the game there. And then you get to go watch ex-major leaguers and the exciting, domestic players that play there, and all the flair that they add, and then the excitement, and the benches clearing. It's almost like Major League Baseball 25 years ago. It's awesome to go there and see it.
Jose, don't you salivate when you just hear the names of Mickey just mentioned, including Robinson Cano? Unbelievable.
Well, Robinson Cano, my respects. There's a lot of players that have played that have come to this league with a big pedigrees, like Robinson Cano. We also had Bartolo Colon in Monclova one year, and sometimes they don't do well. And they get released in a couple of weeks or 3 weeks or a month because they come and they just cannot adjust to the league. But Robinson Cano, man, he's made a big difference in Mexico City. The Mexico City is like the Yankees of the Mexican League. They pour their heart and soul and to try to win every year. And before Robinson Cano came last year, They had 14 years without winning a championship. So Robinson Cano made a huge difference in them, in the clubhouse, in the leadership. And not only that, but man, last season he hit 400. He hit like 413 and win a batting title. This year he had another great year. He had 80 RBIs and 90 games, which is amazing, and helped them win another title. So they won back-to-back championships with Robinson Cano. Was hoping that he'll retire. Obviously, we lost to the Mexico City Diablos thanks to Robinson Cano in the finals. So you're opening a wound right now that I really don't want to. I'm still trying to recover from Robinson Cano, but he had said that he was retiring. He said he was going to retire after the season, and he got convinced to play another year. So I got to figure out how to get more lefties out here to be able to get him out next season to be able to win the championship. But the damn Mexico City Diablos beat us in the finals to win the championship. But my respects. I mean, he came to Mexico. He hustled. He played. He won. And I mean, you can't get any better than that. And like I said, I've experienced. I had Miguel Tejada on my teams, Kyle Farnsworth, and go on and on and on. And they didn't have the success as Robinson Cano did. So my respect to him. He has really come here and really grinded it out and played like he should have. He should play in the caliber player that he is.
Imagine he's got to be revered in Mexico, isn't he? Obviously, we know what kind of numbers he wore. The
Absolutely.
Jackie Robinson number as well. Well, Jackie Robinson, we all know was
and that's when the fans begged him back, and that's why he's coming back. Wish the fans would have kept their shut up like Katsi said. No, we're gonna see him one more year.
See, Jose. See, here's the thing. Jose's getting the hang of this broadcasting thing. He's doing really good now. He's learned a little bit about Paul Sewald. He's already told Katsi to shut up already. Shut up is becoming popular in this
Katsi has the
show.
most ratings of all of us. He's the most exciting one to.
Yeah, there's a reason why we bring Katsi on here. He's a spark plug. He's a bright young baseball guy who's going to be a great asset to this sport for many years. I got to get him in the press box.
He looks like someone and sounds exactly like a pitcher that had last year, Tyler Thomas. If you look him up, Katsi, he talks like you and he looks like you. He's every time I see like I'm seeing Tyler Thomas,
That's
Good
hilarious.
guy, good guy. No, good. Tyler Thomas is a real good guy, so it's a compliment.
How old is Robinson Cano right now?
He's 42.
42.
So Jose, if you ever get out of what you're doing, there's hope for you on our network here as a commentator because you've already impressed those daylights out of me. So great stuff. You're doing a really good job. Your first act there. I expect Mickey to scout a lot of talent anyways for me to bring him on the show. That's one of the reasons why he is a co-host. So Mickey's on a roll. He's doing good. Who did we have? Jack Riggleman.
Yeah.
We had Jack. What's his? Jack Riggleman.
Yeah.
Jim
Riggleman. I knew it was a J. Yeah. Alzheimer's is kicking in, but at least I got the J right anyway. So, all right, Clarky, briefly on Robinson. We got Keon Broxton, Candy Ebling is going to join us for that segment.
42 years old, hitting 413. That's all I got. Yeah, I mean, I can't even equate that, right? I'm surprised someone didn't call him back into the league at that point. Because there's no offense in that league. If they got a guy hitting 413, I mean, I don't care how old he is. Like, he can get a wheelchair number first. Like, it's but I think when I hear these names, it's pretty cool. I know Scotty Spezio was with us, Mickey, and I know he spent a little stint in the Mexico League and wasn't ready. He wasn't ready and he didn't last, and it's hard. Like, and I think Franco played in that league at 49 or 50, right?
Yeah. We had Julio Franco, didn't we?
Yeah. I coached Julio. He's great. He's great. We had Benji Gill too, Mickey, right? Benji's a great guy. Yep. Probably the right guy to be running Mexico. So for the WBC. So that's going to be super exciting. But, Cano obviously made a lot of money in the major leagues because this guy can play. He's just gone down there and proven it. What I love to hear is that Robinson's a great impact on a city, on a team, on these other kids, on how to play the game the right way. And I tell you, if I'm a marketing guy for the Mexican League, I'm like, come down and see the Major League Baseball League 25 years ago, because a bunch of people in my era want to go see that because they don't want to go watch the product today. It might be a new marketing campaign for, listen, and it sounds like college game day football on Saturday parties, kind of things like, hey, man, maybe we should all just go down for baseball season in Mexico, man. Like, I'm sold right now.
It's a great league, to be honest. It's a very, very highly competitive league, and it's really fun to watch. I mean, I'm like I said, I'm really looking forward to March again to see that kind of level of baseball. And Mickey, you're right, it's 25 years ago, because I'm a diehard baseball fan, and I'm a big diehard Oakland A's fan. So from 1992 to about 2000, before 6 or 7, I wouldn't miss a game with the A's. But it was so fun watching those games back then. Now it's really hard, man. It's really hard to watch a major league game. Yeah, I'm a big A. I mean, Canseco, all those guys.
Dave Stewart.
Dave Stewart's it's a very good friend of mine. He comes often here to my teams and helps me out. So he's a good guy.
All right, let me point a couple things out to you. By the way, next week I'm working on a Motor City Mad Mouth show. Former Detroit Lions quarterback Eric Keppel should be joining me, I believe, next Thursday night. So I'm working on getting Eric worked on here as well. Canty, you have the final word on Cano. But remember, if you want to talk Milwaukee Brewers baseball with Keon Broxton, comply by the KISS theory. Okay, you follow me?
Yeah, I know. I know that. I know that theory. Seymour.
Okay, so give me your brief synopsis on Cano. Candy, I believe, comes in a moment.
Oh, it's good to see that he's still doing well. Obviously, he had a little bit of a fall off there within Major League Baseball, but it's good to see that he's he's been that model player that that Mexico City has been looking for. Kind of given what's been described to me, it kind of reminds me of what he was doing during his Yankee days.
Yep.
Okay. All right. With that said, Candy Ambling joins the show. We're talking about Keon Broxton. I'll give you a brief synopsis about him. I had an opportunity to do one-on-one interviews with him out over in Maryville, I think it was, Candy, out in Arizona. And Keon's a great guy. Skip, obviously, he was on your team. Give me a brief overview of Keon. We'll whip it around the horn. We got a couple Milwaukee people in there. And time permitting, Skip, you'll have a couple of questions or two that you can add as we wrap the show up. We're talking baseball. We have a big house there today. We've got Mickey Callaway, Candy's in. They have Jose Melendez, our special guest. Trent Clark's back on here, raring to go, ready for October baseball. We found a new home for him on Saturday. And Catsy, he's on Monday and Saturday as well. I love Katz. He's my young pupil. If you don't know much about Eric Katz, my goal is get him in the Major League Baseball press box. And the fact that we're trying to build his resume big enough to do exactly what this sport needs, have a future here. All right, I'll shut up for a moment. Mickey, give me a brief overview real quickly about Keon Broxton when he met. Whip it around the horn. Time permitting, you get a question or two. Okay, Mac?
Yeah. First and foremost, Keon Broxton is a great individual, right? I just loved being around him. Just a super, just amazing person. I got to coach him with the Mets. I was very excited to have him there. There was some struggles at the plate there. But I loved just being around the guy. He plays the game as hard as he can. And then fortunately, Jose signed Keon when I was managing the Ace Herreros there in Monclova. And we got to see a pretty good product on the field. He had a great season, really swung the bat well, still went through a little bit of ups and downs. But then when he got hot there in the Mexican League, he really raked. And I just felt so, happy for him. I had a lot of conversations with him about what his talent level was. There were some parts of him that didn't quite believe in himself the way he should, I thought. So I was really trying to, allow him to, really go out there and just be Keon Broxton. Don't try to be anybody else. In my mind, if he gets his mind right, he could be the, a Buxton type player, impact player in the major leagues. And that's the way I always saw him. And I really loved being around him.
Jose?
Like Mickey said, he was a great guy. Great person, great clubhouse guy, very positive. You had that glow of him, that it factor. He had a great season, man. He had like 350 that season. He had like 20 home runs and 20 stolen bases for our leadoff guy. I mean, he was our leadoff guy. And I find it funny that in spring training, Mickey, if you remember, when you were throwing to him like 50 miles an hour and he couldn't make contact. He had a lot of swing and miss in his swing, and you were just messing around and just threw him 250-mile-an-hour fastballs and swing and miss. You're like, oh boy, I'm gonna strike him out. It was funny. And then after that, I mean, to a guy that struck out a lot, he had a great season. And you know, that's something about him is he had all the tools in the world, but he had a lot of swing and miss, and that is something that we try to work with him a lot and trying to limit. But for some reason or another, it was just always all or not. I wouldn't say all or nothing because he would walk, but yeah, he had that swing and miss. Not be the only negative I can say about him, but everything else perfect. Great defense, good clubhouse guy. I love the guy, and I don't wonder what he's doing now. I don't think he's playing right now.
He might be playing for the Piratas next year.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good name, man. I would love to have him.
I'm glad that he's playing. Special shout out to Ken Spindler, who obviously is still with the Milwaukee Brewers. He helped me get it all set up, and I saw Keon again with the Mets. All right, here's where we're going. We got Clarky, Kat, Candy. Candy will take then there's probably room for maybe a question or so as we get ready to wrap it up. Candy, I believe, will be on for the rest of the show as she takes us the rest of the way. Okay, Clark, some quick thoughts about Broxton.
I don't have any thoughts. I don't know Keon at all. I have no thoughts on this at all. But I'm going to reserve my time. I want to hear Mickey's questions.
Well, that sounds good. That's okay. Don't worry. You've had plenty of thoughts tonight, and I'm looking forward to having you on every week when you're on, because Clark is a big addition to what we do here on the baseball side. Or well, we know that by the time that Clarky gave up, you bought Eric an extra 90 seconds on the topic. Go ahead.
I mean, Keon Broxton still very much liked in Milwaukee. He was kind of one of those guys who was kind of the bridge to, you know, what the Brewers are now, which they're consistently contending for the postseason just about every single year. You know, he's still very much liked in Milwaukee. They had him back for American Family Field's 20th or 25th anniversary celebration. I think 25. But you know, he was part of that home run derby. He's still very much, and he helped his team win. He still very much liked in Milwaukee. But, you know, he was one of those guys that just, you know, he was there in the beginning when he was part of that team that didn't play a whole lot, but he was part of that team that went to the NLCS in 2018 and came within a game of going to the World Series. But you know, still very much liked in Milwaukee, but, you know, he unfortunately didn't stay long enough to where the good became good.
Yeah, there's nothing not to like about Keon Broxton, a super individual. Candy, go ahead. I'm sure you have some thoughts about Keon.
I have lots of thoughts, and I actually one of them is a question. So we talk a lot about in football when a new rookie quarterback comes out, and you have one coach, and all of a sudden the next year they didn't have the winning, and so they bring in a new coach, and you don't have consistency. I wonder if that's what happened with Keon, because if you look at it, he was drafted and he made his major league debut in 2015 for the Pittsburgh Pirates. His last appearance was in 2019 for the Seattle Mariners. So in 15, he played for the Pirates. In Milwaukee, he played the longest stint, 16 to 18. But then in 19, he was with the Mets. 19, he was with the Orioles. And 19, he was with the Mariners. I almost wonder if he hasn't been in one place long enough with the same coaches to really coach him up to improve his playing. And to Katsy's point, on July 25th, 2025, in front of more than 40,000 fans, Broxton won both rounds of an exhibition home run derby to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Milwaukee Brewers home park, Miller Park / American Family Field, out-homering other retirees known for their power careers such as Corey Hart, Ryan Braun, and Prince Fielder. So he's got power. And so I really wonder if it's a matter of, Mickey, you might be able to comment on this, whether it's consistent coaching that he hasn't had because he moved around so much. And then he went to the Mexican League, and he's played for different teams down there as well. Would you say that might have had?
No, I think that's a very, very good point, and then it's something that's very likely. You know, when you're dealing with Keon, he needs to know that you really believe in him, right? It can't always just be getting to know this guy, and then by the time you get to know him, he needs to know you believe in him. You have to pump him up. You got to tell him, you know, and show him that you really know how good he is so he can go thrive. And a lot of players are like that. And when you get bumped around like that, it is very difficult.
Yeah, so the key words that come in play with both this thing is belief and confidence is what you need, and
Absolutely.
that's the only thing lacking with them. All right, Skip, room for one or two questions, and then Candy takes us the rest of the way. Go ahead.
Yeah, you know what? I think that just having Jose on here and for an hour and 43 minutes, we appreciate his time. I would love to have him back on, and let's really deep dive into the Mexican leagues, like how the back the back channels work and how you sign players, and if he'd be willing to do that. The last thing I want to say about Jose is he is, like I said before, he's one of the best executives in the LMB. He needs to be doing stuff in Major League Baseball, in my opinion. There's no reason he's not with a major league team. He's had all the success in the world over there. He's bilingual. We need Jose Melendez on a major league team, bringing unbelievable players. He's got all of the the moxie and he knows baseball in and out. And it's just I would love to see Jose Melendez running a major league baseball team. So
all right, so here
I appreciate you coming on, Jose.
That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me, Mickey. Thank you.
So Jose, with Skip saying that, I have a proposition for you. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. Skip, text message me after the show. Okay, understand? After the show. And here's what we're going to do. I like to plan these things ahead of time. We all know that baseball's a year-round sport. Forget all this business. The World Series is done. We're anything but we're getting this bad boy going. So here's I have a proposition for you, Jose. How would you like to return to Saturday, okay, and talk about what Mickey just spoke about? Would you like to do that?
That'll be an honor, man. It'll be an honor.
Right, so,
anything that involves baseball, talking about baseball, I'm all in. There's no hockey, no football, no basketball, no nothing else, please. No soccer, nothing. Just baseball.
Well, considering the nature of this show, what we've had to do is introduce you, and we have to stay in compliance what we look at with the type of MLB headlines going on. And this was your introduction show, and you had to put up with me. So by now you've had cauliflower ears with me telling guys like Canty to shut up anyways, even though the kid knows he takes it. I guarantee with Canty, I'll be getting my calls on Sunday. I'll be getting my calls anytime the kid wants to, and I got no problem. And I'm still looking to find this kid a girlfriend, so that maybe she can. Where I can't help him, maybe she can, but never mind. We won't get any crazier with that. I got to set up my kid. Come on, Canty is my kid. I have adopted this kid. I have to watch out for my own. He knows I'm a father with tough love. But get back on point, because now I'll be telling myself to shut up. Okay. Really, this is seriously, really against me. You haven't even heard that one. Really, seriously, really haven't heard. Now you have. Every show's got to have a couple of those references. All right. All things considering. Jose, okay. I'm extending you an invitation, and Mickey and everybody on this panel here for a return. And Mick, under the condition that Mickey has to go ahead and text me 4 or 5 things in my text message, because he knows my number awfully good, like he did in St. Lucie. Now he knows more. So there's a vested interest in me, and I got one in him. Okay. So with that said, Melendez, Jose, okay, you want to come back on?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. It'll be an honor. Awesome.
Okay. Vicky, your homework assignment in about 20 minutes, 25 minutes before, I don't know where you're going the rest of the day, but you have one piece of work to do. You go ahead. We'll probably figure about 3 or 4 weeks out a little bit, Mick. You tell me the things you want to ask this Jose, and we're going to focus on getting him in the bigs. Okay, that's our plan. So that's your project in the next 25 minutes. Okay. Okay. Time to go here. All right. So Jose has around the world, people, Mexico, wherever the heck this is going. For all I know, it could be going Netherlands, could be going Iceland. Oh, I hope it goes to Iceland. UK, where else did we go, Candy? We got Iceland, UK, Netherlands, Norway. Oh, don't worry.
I'm on that live show from Reykjavik. I'm on that.
I'm only talking about the places. Listen, the only places I'm talking about, people, are the ones I travel to. And, of course, the non-sport topics that don't make their way on this show, because we have bigger things to talk about. We save those for Monday so I can drive Canty crazy. But no, all kidding aside, Jose will be on in about 4 weeks or so. And we'll also incorporate what he thought about the outcome of the World Series, in addition to what we're going to talk about and keep that focus based. keep in mind, I'm working on getting Leo Haggerty in for the Tampa Bay situation as well. That's something I'm working on, and then we have an under 8 Citrus Baseball Talk Monday night as well. So no, don't worry, Jose. We like to have you on Saturday. This is a wide open show, which is a free for all, as Kathy would say. And now he can send this tape over to Jonna. Jonna, he knows what I'm talking about. Right around the middle of the flow of the show. I'm done. Candy Ebling takes over the rest of the way. Go ahead, Candy. I know she's talking to me out the air.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by your host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morgenroth. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there is a plethora of great content, so go check it out. If you want to listen to us and you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to sponsor a show, you can call Scott 954-304-4941. If you want to be a guest or have topic ideas, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Back to you, Scott.
All right. Thank you very much. Calloway's going to stay on with me for like 5 to 10 minutes as we plan out future shows. Okay. And obviously, this has been a great show here today. We're pleased to be joined by Jose Melendez. And we're going to make sure if his name wasn't on the map before this one, it'll definitely be on the map after the next one. Of course, meanwhile, he'll be more prepared because he can watch tape and get an idea. Oh my God, I'm dealing with this guy, really? By the way, okay, everybody else knows on this panel, I am the Motor City Madmouth, MOTORCIT Madmouth. Okay. Oh, I do have one question I have to ask for Jose because he's big on second chances. Would you guys consider, bringing a 63-year-old man like me? Give me another chance to go behind the dish in the Mexican. Would you give me a second chance to play behind the dish?
How are you fundamentally?
Yeah, I know. As long as you can block.
What's that? No, wait. No. Wait. I want him to say.
As long as you don't catch on one knee.
Huh?
Yeah.
As long as you don't catch on one knee.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I'll tell you, for somebody my size, I'll be able to block the ball real good. And I don't know if they speak my language, but I guarantee you give me a second chance to play in the Mexican League. Hey. I'll guarantee your fans and everybody will have an experience they never forget. This is a gimmick. I want to be a 63-year-old man making a comeback. That you're the one who talked about second chances. Now I'm putting you through the ringers, okay? Give me the ultimate. I want to play in the Mexican League. I'll make sure the Alzheimer's kicks in real well because I'll forget about every stupid thing on the planet, and I'll guarantee you one thing. I will be in the umpire's ears. I will be out there. I don't know what language. I'll be tapping the legs, distracting the hitter, and I'll be taking my mound visits. I don't even know if you have any amount of time on mound visits. Forget that. We'll get that out. I want to play in the Mexican League. You got me. You got me the second chance thing. I want to play.
I really think we should take the show on the road to Campeche next spring training.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine, but I want to play in the Mexican League.
Podcast on the road. Let's do it.
Don't worry, the American Social Security check won't have anything to do with you deal with pesos, man. I don't care. I tell you, I mastered the art of senior versus senorita. If you don't blame me, ask my sister-in-law Jeanette. She'll tell you how I boxed up senior and senorita and had a ball and doing it in Acapulco. For those that are in those on those plays, we'll talk about it another time. I want to catch in the Mexican League. I got so many people laughing at me, but I can do this.
Scott,
you gonna let me do it?
Scott,
you have the heart, you have the desire.
I want to hear from Jose. Will you let me do it?
Yes, heart, desire, and if you're affordable, let's go.
Oh, I'm very affordable. Don't worry. I got news for you. I'll be affordable. Just make sure you promote the Motor City Madmouth behind the dish. I'll be more than happy to take an incentive-laden contract with a little bit of expense money, and my accountant, Candy Ebling, will make sure it's all squared. And if this doesn't make TikTok or all the other ones, then God only knows these new people in the new media are sick to heads. I want to catch in the Mexican League. Jose, make it happen. Forget Don King. I don't need him.
Hey, anything can happen. Anything can happen. Let's go. Let's see you in spring training, March 15th.
Where is it?
In Campeche, the capital of Campeche. I'm sure you heard of it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell you what. You and Candy are going to work that out. I need to get to there and pitch down there. Candy Ebling is my agent.
You need to take Mickey with you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, here.
We'll come down there.
I'll tell you what, Candy. Here's
And
what I
Mickey
want
needs
you
to
to do.
stay the whole month.
Here's what Candy has to do. I'm making a proclamation now on Talking Baseball. I'm not talking baseball. I'm yelling baseball. Darn it. But here's the thing. Candy, you tell John Paul, your boss, that you need March 15th off, that I'm going to Mexico with you and Callaway to pitch. And I'll tell you, if John Paul doesn't believe me, I'll tell you what we'll do, okay, off my incentive-laden contract. John Paul can go with us. John Paul, I'm issuing you a challenge. She's going to share this video with him. John Paul, if you're out there watching with your wife and your kids, you, Candy, Mickey, and I'm going to make a comeback in 63 in the Mexican League. Forget about this business with me making a hockey comeback many years ago until I got busted up and landed on the out. I want to go back to baseball, and I want to pitch and catch in the Mexican League. John Paul, Candy, Mickey, and I are going. Make sure you go out there and tell them the next time you meet him next week, Scott has already drafted you to go to Mexico with him, okay, to go ahead and watch him make a comeback. And John Paul, and tell him I'm serious about this, okay? And I'll tell you, my A1C number for diabetes will be lower after this experience. It'll be so darn low that this guy, John Paul, will grow himself a set of hair. So I'm done. I've yelled my way out of this show. I'm ready to go. Book it, people. The Motor City Madmouth is going from March 15th with Callaway, Ebling, and John Paul. And I'm going out there. The Clarky and Cats want to go. We'll figure it out. I'll have a fan club of 6. And I'll drive a million crazy. This is what talking baseball is like, everybody. This is what I do on Saturday. Go crazy. Then the guy go crazy, but this is crazier than crazy.
Eric, I think we need your line, man. We need your Trevor Bauer line.
Yeah.
Nobody can get this one. Go ahead, Eric, real quick for it.
Scott, it's time to simmer down.
No way! No way! I can't simmer down.
Look at what you're doing. Look at what you're doing to Candy. Look at what you're doing to Candy. Have you not noticed?
I'll go there, Cats. I'll tell you to shut up again. You know why I'll say that? Because here's the deal, okay? I'm telling you to shut up. You know why? Because she always tells me to be like Aaron Rodgers. Relax. Relax and I don't happen.
You have no relax, actually.
Exactly. Boy, you're back to great minds think alike.
I was just noticing Candy over there. Look, just shaking her head, covering her face. I'm trying to do you a solid here, Scott.
Forget it. I want to make a comeback. You can't do nothing. And there's a song called "There Ain't No Stopping Me Now." And that's New York MLB talk. I'm exhausted from the show. When I come on those shows, everybody is. Just like Anthony Savino, everybody gets exhausted from these shows. And Anthony Savino was a darn good show. They all got exhausted. So, yeah. Okay, MLB talk. Great minds think alike. Glad you're actively listening and watching, because I'll tell you one thing. We make it real, we entertain, and we have a blast. But that's on behalf of Mickey Callaway, Candy Upling. Jose Melendez, who's agreed to come back on in 4 weeks after Skip gives me the overview of the outline. And we're going to make more plans to go to Mexico on March 15th, okay? I'm ready for this comeback. Oh, I will be raving. I can't wait to tell Cameron Corby of the Miami Hurricanes I'm making a comeback out there. This guy's going to go ballistic.
I can't bear watch.
Anyway, on behalf of Callaway, Candy, Jose, Trent, and Eric, this is Scott Morgan about the Motor City Madhouse, who promises he won't relax today.
Scott, you going to let them say where they can get people can
Absolutely. Go ahead. Let them all have it. I've said my piece. I'm done. Callaway, let them know.
I got a meeting. I got to run, guys. We'll see you. Thank you.
All right, Jose, anything you want to add?
I really appreciate the opportunity to be here and meet you guys. I think it was a lot of fun, these 2 hours. So I'm looking forward to doing it again. But like I said, I really appreciate the invite. It really was a blast.
Okay, well, Trent, real quick, and then we're all set.
Yeah, everybody, thanks. Great. There's my book, Leading Winning Teams, with purchased. Please buy it. Great book about your personal development. Wrote that book with Wiley Publishing, and you can find it everywhere. Check out our podcast, Winners Find a Way, on all the major networks. And always thrilled to always join the baseball shows and baseball talk. And even when I can get to 108 Stitches on Monday, fabulous baseball. And obviously ready for October, Scott.
All right, that does it. Candy, wrap it up. We're all set. Thanks very much for joining us on Talking Baseball. Candy, wrap us up.
We already did. We already went through. Here's Scott's books.
There you go. All right. Well, on behalf of my great crew, I want to thank everybody for joining us, and we will see you next Saturday and Monday night. and we'll go from there. Thanks, everybody. And Jose, special thanks for you for being on today, okay?
Thank you very much.
All right,
Thank
thanks.
you.
We're all set.